Hello, everybody. So I wanted to just put out a little video. I know it's probably a week later than it should have been, just to talk about the pre-release for Perfect Order, because I was lucky enough to do two of those events last week. I did one last Wednesday on my own, and I did one on Saturday with my daughter. And I, again, was lucky enough to get some different decks each time, so I wasn't just doing the same deck over and over. So this is actually, that's quite handy. This is the first deck that I pulled, which was the Barbaracle, which I struggle to say, so we'll see how that goes. But Barbaracle deck. Let's just have a little look through. It has not a huge amount of energy. It has these really awesome. I've not used this type of. Sorry, I'll get it in the center. This type of energy before. Well, I use other special energy, but these ones are new in Perfect Order. I don't think they're a reprint, but they may have existed a while ago that I don't know about. Each one's a bit different. So there's a leaf type one, which I think is called Growth Energy. There's Psychic Energy, I think it's called, or Telepathic Energy. I can't remember. I didn't pull that one. And then Rocky Energy for the fighting types. This one is prevent all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to the fighting Pokemon this card is attached to. So that's kind of handy. The growth one's even better because it gives them, I think, 20 or 30 extra HP, which is, well needed. Especially some of these decks were ridiculously sort of weighted in favor of one against the other, shall we say, which we'll look at in a second. It had two Gravity Mountains. There are Pokepads in this deck. This was one of the sought after decks because there were no Pokepads in the Serperior deck. So there were people there on the day who were trying to trade their deck away because obviously everyone's keen to get hold of as many Pokepads as they can. It's got the standard stuff in it. I'm not going to put everything in its own space because we're working in a little area. But we have, let's just bring those down a bit. We had the Enhanced Hammer. Now, this actually won one of the rounds for me. It basically just lets you knock off a special energy from one of your opponents. I was playing a grass deck. They had two enhanced energies on their Serperior, which meant that they had, I think it was plus 40 energy or plus 60 energy. I did my attack with Barbaracle, which was, where was it, Barbaracle? Let me have a quick look and see if I can remember who I attacked with. Maybe it was Hippopotamus. I added this into the deck myself because I figured it was a kind of half-handy Badoo stand-in because it has Sand Attack, which is during your opponent's next turn. If the defending Pokemon tries to use an attack, your opponent flips a coin. If it's tails, its attack does nothing. So it was kind of like that might do me some favors for a round or two. Landorus, was it this? Yeah, I think it was Landorus, Screw Knuckle. And I had done damage, and I'd even put a Premium Power Pro on there, but it wasn't enough to knock them out. In the next round, I then used Enhanced Hammer to knock that energy off of them, and then that took them out in the following round. So I was able to take two prize cards the next round and win the game. So that was really handy. I'm going to try and work on this deck. Probably get rid of Barbaracle. Maybe not. But a lot of these cards are going to end up in my Lucario deck, basically. So Enhanced Hammer, Rocky Energy. Pokepads obviously are going to go in place of Nest Ball. Let's keep going with where we were. Hilda's always good. I still do play a lot of Dawn because I used to have stage 1, 2, and 3 Pokemon in my fighting deck. I don't anymore, but I still use Dawn because it's a great way of just getting any two Pokemon out. So even though you're kind of wasting a stage 2 that you can't pull, I haven't found a better alternative. If you know one, please comment below and let me know what would be a better way of getting my basics and Mega Lucario EXs or any other stage 1 out of my deck, other than a Dawn. It'd be much appreciated. Surfer was a new one for me. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. If you do, draw cards until you have 5 in your hand. That was really handy. Used that once or twice. Lilies is obviously standard. Everyone knows that one. If you don't, it just lets you shuffle your hand back in. Because it's a build and battle, though, you only have 4 prize cards, so you only get to draw 6 cards with that Lilies, not the 8 that you would if you had all 6 of your cards remaining. A couple of Fighting Gongs. Drayton. Let's have a look what else we got quickly. Hilda, searching your deck for an evolution Pokemon and an energy card. That's really useful. That is a kind of, I suppose that could replace Dawn, but I'm more after getting 2 Pokemon out rather than a Pokemon and a trainer. Drayton was a new one for me, which is looking at the top 7 cards of the deck, reveal a Pokemon trainer card, put it in your hand. So it's kind of like, feels like it's a trainer that you don't really want, but it lets you find a trainer you might want. So that isn't going to make it into my Lucario deck, I don't think. But we'll see. Just done that up there. I mean, it's not a new card anyway. I think it's from Surging Sparks. Fighting Gong again. Now, Tarragon. This is a great card. This lets you put 4 in any combination of fighting Pokemon and basic energy cards from the discard pile into your hand. Now, I don't play a lot of cards other than Professor's Research that let me discard. But if I was knocked out in a previous round, this would let me take back my Lucario, my Riolu, my Mega Lucario, and 2 energies and put them all back in my hand the following turn, which if you end up prizing one of your Mega Lucarios, this could be really helpful, bit of a lifesaver really. So there's going to be, I think there's only 1 in this hand. Yeah, we only had 1 in here, but I have pulled a couple more since, so I will be adding more of these to my Lucario deck as soon as they come in their J, so they're not coming into rotation till 10th of April. But when they do, that's definitely joining the party. So we also had Hawlucha in the deck with Vengeful Kick. I don't think I ended up really playing this. If your bench Pokemon have any damage counters on them, this attack does 60 more damage. I didn't really have a switch, so I wasn't retreating very often, so it wasn't a huge help on the day. But it's a nice card, and it's an Osar with the cool heavy outlines, which just looks really nice. So, we're master setting this as well, so some of these will just end up in the binder. There's 3 Landorus. I think all 3 were from the original deck. I did swap some of these trainer cards around, but not many. So Landorus, again, it wasn't great. It was just good to make sure I didn't get knocked out from having nothing on my bench, which did happen in 1 round where I only had 2 basics and I got knocked out early doors. So it was kind of handy, but Rock Tumble with attack damage isn't affected by resistance, and Screw Knuckle, put an energy attached to this Pokemon into your hand. I don't think I even used that actually, so I'm not sure what the move was I did use that the Enhanced Hammer finished off, but yeah, it was something. Hippopotas, yeah, as I said, I brought this one in just as a kind of first round, something to slow people down a bit. It did get used, and it was helpful. I think I used it 3 or 4 times. So, yeah, probably won't be making it into the final deck anyway, but it was useful. So that was really cool. It was a really good event. I lost horribly, but that's kind of standard. But yeah, it was a good. I enjoyed this deck. I enjoyed playing with some of the new cards from Perfect Order, which, to be honest, this is probably the absolute star of the show. At this and Rocky Energy. Rocky Energy being, just useful as an extra energy card, but depending on who you're up against, preventing all effects of attacks could be useful. We'll see. But yeah, that was good. And then from the prize packs on the day, just have a little look and see what we pulled. A big wad of cards here, but most of them aren't relevant. Here we go. So the only card I pulled, I didn't get any EXs, so 4, 5, 6, 7 packs opened, and Esper is the only thing I managed to get out. But it's very nice. Now, next thing we're going to look at is on the second pre-release. Let's see what we've got first. So this is my daughter's deck. She probably did want to show you this herself, but we will get her involved. We're going to have a little battle where we film the whole battle, hopefully on Sunday, so she'll be in that one. But yeah, let's just go through quickly. So she had the Growing Energy, which does give you plus 20 HP. So yeah, 2 of those on one of your Leaf type Pokemon, you're getting 40 HP, which is really good in the build and battle because it's kind of a low energy fight. Energy Swatter, so this is another new one. So your opponent reveals their hand and you choose an energy card you find there and put it at the bottom of their deck. That got used against me multiple times, but luckily it just didn't really impact. When in the second event, I had the Doublade, whichever way you want to say it, deck, which again, and lots of people had this grass deck, and it was, it's very one-sided. It was an easy win, but it was really fun. Let's just have a look. So yeah, Energy Swatter, it's got Snivies. There's 4 Snivies in there. Let's just move them over here. There's 3 Servines. There might be more. A couple of Superiors. So let's just put these out. A couple of Superiors. There was 3 Shaman, I think. Let me just go through, see what else is mixed in there. No, this is everyone. So there's 3 Shaman, which are basically there to power up. So their Send Flowers move is kind of, there's lots of Pokemon that have a similar thing, draw cards or whatever, but this one is search your deck for an energy card, attach it to one of your benched Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. So that's just super useful. For the one that's in play, it's obviously not an ability, it's a move. To just get a little bit of energy powered up onto your Snivy, Servine, Superior. Superior, it's a deck where you can do really well or really badly. So the normal move's 100 plus, so 100 with 3 Leaf Energy. Now, if you were playing this in a regular deck and you had Meganium on there and you're doubling up the value of your energy, that's great because you could use Shaman to get one on there, attach one for turn, and then if you've got Meganium in, you've already got 4, but you've got your 3 that you need, you can attack. You obviously don't have that in a build and battle with the pre-release, but what you do have, if you had Rose's Encouragement, which is the one of the new, sorry if I'm not in the center, I'm trying to pay attention. Where's it gone? There we go, Rose's Encouragement. So yeah, it's one of the new, so it's Perfect Order, and it's a J card. You can use this only if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, so you're kind of limited with that anyway. And then attach up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your Stage 2 Pokemon. Great. But once you've used that and you've discarded it, all of a sudden Superior gets plus 150 damage with Solar Coiling. If Rose's Encouragement is in your discard pile, this attack does 150 more damage, so 250 it's doing then. So that suddenly powers this right up. But you've got to get that Rose's Encouragement in the discard pile by using it, or there's also an Ultra Ball in here, so that's obviously another way of being able to quickly bin off some cards from your hand. So if you played the deck right, you could do okay, but it was the Doublade deck that was a bit of a problem for this one. We've got Dawn, Drayton, some energy, not a huge amount, Buddy Poffin, so it's all fairly standard stuff. Lana's Aid, which is useful because you can obviously, well, once you've got Rose's Encouragement in your discard, that's kind of all you're really trying to do on this deck. But yeah, you can pull back your energy at least. Bug Catching Set, Dawn, another Superior. I don't think there's anything else particularly stand out in this, just Lacey's, Lily's, and another Surfer. So yeah, it was a nice deck, but I mean, I came up against it twice with my Doublade deck and beat it both times. I didn't actually play against Izzy. She did really well though, and she beat someone who had the Barbaracle. I've probably said that wrong, but the Barbaracle deck, she absolutely destroyed them because they are weak to Grass type. So a nice easy, well, it wasn't an easy win for her. It was a well-earned win, and quite an intimidating situation given that she's a child and she was playing against adults. So well done to her. Okay, and the final deck of our 3 is my Doublade deck, Doublade. So let's have a quick fly through. Again, we're not going to talk about all the trainers unless there's anything different, which we immediately do. So this is from Shrouded Fable, but Colress Tenacity, which is to search deck for a stadium card and an energy card, reveal them, put them in your hand. So that was handy. There wasn't a lot of use of stadiums really, but you might want to knock out the Forest of Vitality from the Leaf deck, but it wasn't really an issue because they kind of didn't last long. Hilda Waitress, which is a new one for Perfect Order, and that is to look at the top 6 cards of your deck and attach a basic energy card you find there to one of your Pokemon and shuffle the other cards back into your deck. It's alright, it's not the best. I probably won't bother putting that in any other decks. Buddy Poffin, Adorn. So let's get the Pokemon out. We'll get rid of all the trainers first, and the Buddy Poffins, the energy. Yeah, enhanced hammer again, super useful for knocking off the special energies from your opponent. Definitely going to get one or two of them in my Lucario deck. And I will just fly through the rest. Pokepads galore. There's loads of Pokepads now. No more having to worry about buying them for £5 a pop, which luckily we didn't do. Lilies, ignition energy, which I'll talk about in a second, was a massive lifesaver. Lots of Dawns in here. Several Pokepads. Let's see. Okay, so there was a very particular way that you had to use this deck. So I actually there was 2 Klefkis. I actually took one out, which was a mistake, but I replaced it with an extra blade, and that will make sense in a minute. So Klefki, again, really useful card to have on the bench early doors, or in the active spot more accurately. Choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon attacks. During your opponent's next turn, that Pokemon can't use that attack. Now, this actually came in really handy in a mirror battle I had at the very end, which was super close. I won the first one, they won the second one, and it was down to the last prize card each on the third round. And sadly, I lost that one. Won my first 2 battles, lost that one, but it's the best result I've ever had, even though obviously it's only a 40-card deck, but I'll take the win. Well, I'll take the second place. So yeah, Memory Lock, really handy. Again, basically do a little bit of damage, or 30 damage, which is not insignificant in pre-release. And it also has resistance. That was the kicker. Resistance of -30. So when you're up against the Leaf decks, all of these are taking 30 less, which is kind of half the move, really, half the damage they would be doing, or all the damage with cards like this. So, obviously not this, you know what I mean, with their version of this. That was really handy. Could have done with 2 though, because I didn't always pull it. I did prize it once or twice. So after that, Full Metal Lab. So that's just the Stadium card. 30 less damage from attacks to the opponent's Pokemon. So if you've got that and you're up against a grass deck, you're taking 60 less damage, which is pretty nuts. I would really like to try and build this out into a full deck. I'm kind of thinking of some ideas of other Pokemon to get in there, because it's mostly colorless. You just need a couple of steel energies in there, in case you get, I'm going to butcher this, but in case you get Aegislash. But the key here, you obviously don't want to get knocked out. You need to have something on your bench. So if you even leave the Klefki on your bench and you end up with Honedge, I'm just going to say it my way, Honedge in your active spot, you can keep hold of your other basics. You don't need to put more on the bench. Ordinarily, you'd want to start filling that bench up. Evolve it in the next turn to Doublade, and you can use Weaponized Swords. Now, this does 60 damage plus 60 damage. Well, 60 damage for every sword. So Honedge, Doublade, or Aegislash that are in your hand. So you're using Dawn to basically get them out of the deck as quickly as possible. And then once you've evolved, all you need is basically 3 or 4 of them in your hand, and you're knocking absolutely anything out that's in the pre-release, with the exception of that one time where someone had the growth energy, but then I used the enhanced hammer to knock one of them off and knock them out the following round anyway. So that was super useful, and there's absolutely tons of them because I replaced one of my Klefkis, so I had that many in the deck. So even if I prized all 4 of them, I still had 5 in the deck that I could get hold of with a couple of Dawns. So it's pretty much unbeatable against the grass deck, at least, and the fighting decks. They were doing pretty well. And this was the other winner of the show, was Ignition Energy. Again, not a new card, but the fact that you could quickly just throw an energy on and get Doublade up to do that Weaponized Swords straight off the bat was just a winner. It was really good. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm hoping to try and make a deck out of this. It doesn't take a lot more, to be honest. Add a Klefki back in, and maybe even something like a Mega Lopunny or something, so it's colorless energy again. I suppose a Kangaskhan, but I don't really want to do that. But yeah, I'm going to have a think, see what I can build it out with, swap a few things around, and give it a try. But yeah, that was it. That was our first pre-release. We pulled a few more hits on this one as well. My daughter pulled the Energy Recycler. art rare, which is really nice. Well, it's actually, yeah, full art. I guess that is full art. I pulled the Salazzle full art, which is all right. It's a bit of a weird one. It's got like a bikini or a swimsuit made of fire, which is odd. But, you know, all great for the master set. I think that's all we pulled at the event. We got some more pulls afterwards. This was not pulled at the event, but I'm still loving the Rose's Encouragement SIR. That was pulled out of a booster box when we got home. So, yeah, good times. And what we're probably going to do this weekend is have a little battle again where my daughter can use this deck and I'll use her grass deck so that she can get a sort of feel for that battle from the other way around. You know, just work on tactics and stuff. She's got a cup on Saturday, so we just want to get a little bit of practice in, even though it's not her deck for the cup. It would just be nice to practice together, and just it's more about teaching her the sequencing and just doing things the right way, trying to remember to use your abilities, all that sort of stuff. So it's all good practice, even with different cards to what you're going to be using on the day. Yeah, and we'll probably do a little review before and after of what her deck was. I think she wants to play her Koraidon deck, which is okay, but it's definitely not the strongest deck in the world. So we're going to work on that over the next couple of days, see if we can change it up a bit, make it a bit stronger for her. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you liked this, if you like this sort of deck review thing, this is the first one we've done. I'm sure we'll get better at it. It will all get a bit smoother. But yeah, remember to like and subscribe for more. I'll be looking at my Mega Lucario deck next. We're swapping some cards out of that, or I'm swapping some cards out of that, and probably changing about 10 cards out of the deck ahead of, I'm also in the cup on Saturday, so ahead of that. And I'll do a little review of what's in there now, what's going to change, and then we'll see how that does at the event. And I can kind of do a post-mortem sort of thing where I talk about the changes I made, maybe what didn't work, what did work, and any more changes. We'll keep kind of refining the deck as we go along. And that deck has got some G cards in it as well, which are going to go out of rotation. So there'll be a lot of Pokepad and even the new Pokeball card, which is just a toss a coin, yes or no. You get to draw a Pokemon out of your hand, which is pretty cool. Out of your deck, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, if you like this sort of thing, we'll talk about some sort of tactics and all that. Please like and subscribe. Maybe leave a comment below if you play as well. Let us know what deck you play. Anything you're going to be taking out during the rotation. Anything else you're going to be putting in. Let's sort of get a bit of a conversation going, and maybe we can make it a kind of regular feature where we look at other people's decks and, you know, work things out. That'd be great. Thanks, everyone.